Coming to paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Pre-order your copy of John Haynes, Illuminati on Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. It looks like Eric July is getting his ninja wake-up call. On Tuesday, Eric July was allegedly supposed to appear on Primetime with Alex Stein on the Blaze TV to debate comics creator Ethan Van Sciver. And 7 p.m. came and went on the Blaze TV, and Eric July was nowhere to be allegedly found, and as a result, many went on social media sites like Twitter to talk about how Eric July was a coward. Now, I use the term allegedly because, according to Eric July's Twitter, he states that he never agreed to have a debate with Ethan Van Sciver, and emails from Alex Stein's staff could possibly give us some evidence to what could have possibly happened behind the scenes. However, this entire event is one that basically puts a tarnish on Eric July's name and makes it where his reputation is suffering some damage, and he's suffering this damage by design because what's happening to Eric July is he's finding that he doesn't have many allies among the white supremacists who are a part of comics YouTube and a part of comics social media. Now, when it comes to comics YouTube and comics social media, there has been a so-called culture war going on, and these people who are a part of the culture war, really what they want to do is try to control the narrative as related to comics and pop culture. And they want to control the narrative of comics and pop culture so that it can reflect what white supremacy wants to represent. And this is the main reason why they have an issue with Eric July, who is completely clueless to the racism that's going on, because Eric July believes in politics over people as a libertarian, not understanding that when it comes to left or right, both sides are anti-black. And this is what Eric July doesn't understand, as he stands and takes pictures with white supremacists like Kyle Rittenhouse proudly, and as he has taken pictures with guys like Kyle Rittenhouse proudly, he doesn't know that he's standing in the presence of enemies who have no respect for him and no regard for him. And what they actually do is use him as what Mad Black 80 calls a bigot-proof vest in order to protect themselves from actual claims of racism as related to the comic book industry, and they trot him out to present how they are all about diversity and inclusion, but passively but aggressively, they are all about continuing the narratives of white supremacy. And as they look to continue pushing the narratives of white supremacy in the pages of their independent comics, there's a lot of envy towards Eric July before being a black man who went out here and actually surpassed many of the white independent comic creators as related to economic success. Now, Eric July went on with his Rippaverse line of comics with the first book, Isom, to make $3 million and make way more money than Ethan Van Sciver with his Cyberfrog comic that he made about 4 or 5 years ago. And this has basically created some jealousy in Ethan Van Sciver regarding Eric July's success, And I believe that's partially due to the fact that he's unhappy about a black man basically surpassing him in terms of economic success for an independent book. And because he's upset about this black man going out and basically surpassing him, this is why he's looking to throw a lot of shade towards Eric July, because he doesn't like the idea of a black man making more money than he did and being more successful at going out here and launching a crowdfunded comic more than he is. That's really what I believe upsets Ethan Van Sciver and many of the white individuals who are part of movements like Comicsgate, Comics YouTube, and Comics social media. They are upset that this black Bootlick has basically gone on to surpass them, and this is where their envy and jealousy and contempt are shown towards Eric July, and that's why they've wound up turning on him. And this is where the entire comics movement basically has started to begin its implosion, because as those who are a part of the far right as related to comics start fighting with each other, the great irony is they start acting like many of the social justice warriors. They say that they're protesting at Marvel and DC, and as part of that great irony, they actually prove the point of those on the far left about how racist the comic book industry is. And what happens with these two individuals is that they're showing that these guys on the far right are just as racist as those on the far left. Again, as I've stated before many times, the left and the right both are anti-black, and what they're doing right now is dealing with this Bootlick and letting him know that they don't care about his success. No, they're upset about the fact that a black man beat them at their own game, similar to what happened with guys like Michael Jordan in the NBA, or black players like Lawrence Taylor and those in the NFL. They are upset that a black man beat them at their own game. As related to the crowdfunded business, they are upset that a black man who is out here making comics goes out here and makes more money than they are. And when they go out here and they talk about winning, they want to be the ones who win, and they want to be the ones on top, because in the system of white supremacy, the white man wants to be the one who wins, because if Eric July wins, they lose. That's the way white supremacy sees it, and that's why they've got an issue with Eric July. They've got an issue with Eric July because they see a guy that is making more than they are and doing better than they are, and that's what's got them all mad. But Eric July, sadly, he still is out here believing that he has allies, when in actuality he has no allies at all. No, what he's finding out the hard way is that when you stand with people like Kyle Rittenhouse, they are standing against you. And when they stand against you, what they do is make a plan to turn on you. And sadly, because Eric July couldn't see the subtle politics transpiring around him regarding this debate, he couldn't see the chess moves being made at the table. And because he couldn't see the chess moves being made at the table, made by those around him on the far right, he couldn't see how what they were looking to do was control the narrative around him. And what they were looking to do with this whole setup for the debate was create a narrative where they were looking to say this black Bootlick is a coward, and say that this black Bootlick is somebody who is weak and can't be trusted. That's basically the message that we're looking to send. And sadly, Eric July doesn't have the backbone or the stones to stand up for himself, to present hard evidence like an email from these individuals or a release letting them know that he made no agreement whatsoever. Because as somebody who has a YouTube channel with a tenth of the subscribers that he has. I mean, I had made an appearance on Fox Soul, and I had to sign a release for that, and I have emails from their producers that would let people know, okay, I was in contact with their producers, I got their emails from them, and I let them know that I was declining. That's all he needed to post as evidence, but instead of having the courage to post evidence to let people know what was going on, this has basically escalated into a drama, and the whole point of the drama was where white supremacy, what they wanted to do was go out here and humiliate Eric July, because in the system of white supremacy, Bootlick is a job without a retirement plan, and what they were doing was basically giving Eric July his pink slip and his walking papers, letting him know his services are no longer needed. That's basically what was done on social media on Tuesday. A black Bootlick just quickly learned how he's not needed, and they are looking to find another Bootlick to go out here and do their dirty work. That's what they're looking to do right now, looking to find another black Bootlick to fill the shoes of Eric July and be the guy who will be in the background of their foreground and be their yes man and be their guy who will stand there and be their safe haven for them to participate in their anti-black racism behind the scenes, because that's what's been happening in the comic book industry for, I say, ever since its inception, because a lot of black creators don't get those opportunities, and if they do get opportunities, it's because they're guys like Eric July who look to make compromises. But we see that when you make compromises with white supremacy doesn't have any mercy on its bootlicks, and what they do with their bootlicks is that once they finish playing with the toy in their collection, what they do is they don't put it on eBay to be sold. No, what they do is break that toy so it cannot be used as a weapon against them. And that's what they're doing right now to Eric July's credibility. They're basically breaking his credibility and creating a narrative around him because he isn't smart enough to understand the chess game that had been going on behind the scenes regarding the subtle politics transpiring around him. Because when these guys who call themselves nerds say that they're all about pop culture and hobbies, no, they're all about controlling pop culture and the hobbies. They're all about controlling the narrative of pop culture and the hobbies that they have in science fiction and fantasy. They're all about controlling those narratives to make sure that the characters remain white, the narratives remain white, and make sure that there are no black stories that get out, and they don't really care about whether the characters are like Isom or in the background of the world. They don't want any black characters to be representative as the face of anything. No, for them, if they're not in charge of everything and the narratives aren't controlled by them, they have a problem with it. And that's what Eric July doesn't understand, that I, as a publisher, understand, when it is all about them controlling the narrative, controlling the story. And that's the other issue that guys like Ethan Van Sciver have with a so-called right-wing individual who is out here making comics. They don't like the idea of a black person being in a position of power, even if they are a bootlick, because it's all about making sure that that black person doesn't have that power or that control, and it's all about taking that power away from that black man. That's what they want to do here, and they want to do it by trying to discredit Eric July. And again, this is just him reaping what he sowed, later than what he sowed, greater than what he sowed, because when you make a deal with the devil, you are guaranteed to get burned. And when you deal with the devil, known as white supremacy, they are out to make your life a living hell, and they're out to make the life of this black creator a hell, because he thought, oh, I'm going to be able to bootlick and get in with these folks, but these folks were never in with him as a black man. No, they will pretend to be in with you, and while you're out here thinking that they're for you, they're against you. So he didn't understand the game that was going on as related to the subtle politics transpiring around him. And he thought, that they wanted to debate. And again, they don't really want to debate. This is something I learned way back from the passport drama of 2019. Whenever people invite you to a debate, it really is just a way to try to shout you down. And what happened here was that Eric July basically wound up in a situation where they were looking to shout him down, and what he thought he could do was try to evade getting shouted down, not understanding what was going on was they were trying to create a narrative around him, and again, create the narrative to try to get him out as related to things, because guys like Ethan Van Sciver want to be the gatekeepers and the guys who run comics overall, the same way that we have the white female Whisper Network. That's why I say it's a gender war, because it's the white male versus the white female for control and power. And it's not really about getting good comics to people and telling good stories. No, it's about controlling narratives and controlling narratives to push agendas on the far right, just like they do on the far left. And again, when it comes to these agendas, they're anti-black. And sadly, I don't think Eric July has learned enough as related to as related to this whole situation. And this whole situation was a wake-up call for all the brothers and sisters out there as related to comics, that when it comes to this whole medium of comics, there's a lot of white supremacy going on. And when it comes to white supremacy and the black image, we have to understand that we have to take power over our image, take power over our stories, take power over our narrative. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of brothers and sisters doing right now with black comics, black sci-fi, and black fantasy. And that's the thing that's got guys like Ethan Van Sciver and many others who are part of comics upset, is seeing black people taking more power. And what we're seeing right now is that we're seeing a bootlick basically being shown the door socially on social media, and that should make us think about how we associate on social media, because when it comes to social media, the people on the far right are showing us, just like those on the far left, that they have a problem with black people having power over ourselves. Now, my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, is available on Lulu.com right now, and you can pick up a paperback copy for the same price as it was on the 2022 Kickstarter. And if you want to pick up some of the books that are a part of the SJS Direct universe, like the ISIS series, the Steam series, the John Haynes series, the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, my black sorority novel, The Thetas, my black vampire novel, Eternal Night, and my black business book, A Recipe for Success, you can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashware's The iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to see me make more videos about comics, science fiction, and fantasy, or help me get out the next SJS Direct comic, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Support black-owned and black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.